All right, welcome to the TCI studio. Man next to me needs no introduction. Clemson legend Tajh Boyd. Been trying to get you over here. We got you over here today.
Sweet digs.
We're really excited to have you in the studio.
Oh, man, look at you got the lake view. Now you can't see it right here. You might be able to see it on the green screen back here. But look, really nice dig set up, man. We got the whole game back here, rocking and rolling with the camera crew. Got the mic set up. And that's an awesome space. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. We hope to get you back here a lot more. We're just going to kind of go around a lot of different topics with you. Talk a lot about some of the, big news items with college football. But let's start with camp. Obviously, we were out there for 4 days last week. We got 2 more days coming up. First off, for you, what's the experience like going to watch camp? And just with your background and what you went through at Clemson, and just seeing these young kids kind of starting the path that you started a long time ago.
Well, so I didn't go to personally many camps when I was in my high school experience, but I remember popping up to Virginia Tech, and I'm pulling up, and Frank's there, and the whole gang's there, and everything's fine, and I pull up, and everybody's it's all over up over arms, and they're like, hey, oh my gosh, Tajh Boyd is here, they're laying out the maroon carpet for the boy, right? And until another quarterback showed up. And then they shifted gears and they went directly over to him. So I can just remember those emotions being like, man, this is a different business, right? And so I think for these kids, they'll see it in that same light too. You got every 4-star coming, every 5-star coming, and regardless of what the situation is, even if you do commit, even if you do get the offer next year, it's the same thing, right? So they're trying to out-recruit you, they're trying to, outplay you, and that's just the way that the circle works, and it's the cycle of it. And when Clemson is where they're at now in the position that they're in, everybody wants this offer. Man, we had a couple kids from my hometown, Virginia, and I got a chance to grab some lunch with them afterwards, man, and just have a conversation. And to hear these kids say, man, like, and they got offers already. They're like, this is my dream school. Like, this is where I want to come. 80% of kids in high school football right now has Clemson as their dream school. And to be in a position where you can legitimately handpick each kid, I think speaks volumes to where this program's at right now and where they're going to continue to be. So was really excited though, man, because again, once you step into that arena, man, and you got guys and you want to get that offer, and you got coach sitting behind you looking, or you got Mike Reed over here watching, like you want to be able to perform at your highest level. So with that comes nerves. And so to see kids come out there and be confident and be fluid and go out there and perform their craft at their best of their abilities is pretty damn special, man. And if they can do it, it shows what it looks like when they step on the big stage. Completely different, obviously, but man, if you can settle that spirit, settle those nerves, and get out there and perform at a high level, man, I think you'll be just fine once you step into the arena here.
We've talked to a lot of folks over the years going to camp and parents coming in, even some Gamecock kid parents, and they always talk about how much they love the camp at Clemson, how different it is. And Dabo talks about it, we could give the speech after hearing it every day. You could as well. And some of the speech he gives before it starts is for the parents.
Sure.
But, Dabo says, guys, we're not here to do a combine. You're not going to run 40s and do broad jumps. And, we're going to teach you to be better football players. How different is that, and how do you like what Clemson does versus the way some of the other schools do it?
Man, I had the biggest smile on my face when I saw Coach Swinney working with the receivers. I could see him from afar, right? He was 100 yards away, and then he was 80, and then he was 60, and then he was 40. Next thing you know, he's right up in the kid's ear, And he's getting out there, and he's showing them how to run routes, and he's showing them how to line up, and he's showing them how to get in position and win off the line of scrimmage. And so for me, I'm like, man, in theory, I think if in an ideal situation, he'll be the head coach and the receivers coach, right? But he has to give that to somebody else. So watching Tyler Grisham do what he does was masterful, and it was beautiful. Then watching Artavis Scott jump in the ring and get out there and show these kids what to do was special. So like seeing these guys, man, and then you got Joe and Ngata sitting right there. I mean, these kids are getting a world-class experience right here. And even if they don't get the offer, they can take something back with them that they'll remember forever. And I don't think you get that experience anywhere else. I mean, you got C.J. Spiller out there, Tony Elliott, the Tony Elliott out there, man, coaching kids up. Todd Bates, the same way. I just don't, I don't think that you get that. And even coaches that aren't here, right? Coaches that are at Furman or at Mercer, I mean, they're hands-on, and they're trying to tell these kids, they're not just drilling them up and looking at who's on paper and who's looking at the script and like, all right, well, this is the guy that I really want, so I'm gonna just work with him. I'm gonna forget about the rest of the kids. They're really inclusive within that. And I think that that's rare these days, especially when I've floated around the circuit and saw what that looks like from a favoritism standpoint, from a placism standpoint. These guys are here to coach. These kids paid money to come up here and camp, and that's what they're going to do.
Well, a few years ago, they made a rule change where they wouldn't let the high school coaches coach the camp anymore, which opened the door for the players now to be able to work the camp. And the players make some good money working the camps. And how cool would that have been for you when you were at Clemson to be able to be out there as a player and work?
Super dope. Now, granted, none of the kids at quarterback probably would have got any reps. You know? Might have taken all of them, but let me show you how to do it back up.
So you've been like Dabo.
Yeah. Absolutely. But, man, I got a chance to watch Andrew Booth in action with the DBs. And a friend of mine that was in town was a DB, you know. And so I'm like, hey, what is he telling? Is he telling him good stuff? He's like, he's telling them the best stuff. And so, man, these kids, you know, they'll take this experience and then go watch him make 4 or 5 one-hand interceptions. I mean, just don't know where you get that anywhere else, man. And, you know, they got a cool T-shirt to take back, if anything else. But, you know, you can see some kids come up and they're jacked up and they're fired up, and some kids are walking around with their head down. And all you can do is get better anyways, right? Get bitter or get better, whatever one you want to choose. But either way, you got to pick a path. And so I think that they understand that within that. And to have it break down and close with the speaker, I think it's pretty awesome too. So Clemson has, 2 days of camp left?
2 more days.
2 more days.
Thursday and Friday.
And just like that, camp season's over, right?
Yep. So you're there watching the quarterbacks, and you know we had certain guys we were going out there to watch every day, and every day there were quarterbacks. You know, we talked about from Arch to Nico to, you know, there probably were 7 or 8 4-stars that came through, and then you've got Jaden Davis, the 2024 phenom, that's here from Fort Mill.
Yeah.
You know, how hard is it for the staff to do what you said earlier? Try to make every one of those guys feel special when they're on campus at camp, knowing that they got all those other great quarterbacks there too. How do you do that?
You know, I think it becomes more of a managerial task, right? Like, can these guys, like, if I don't show him affection, if I don't show him attention, like, how does he take that, right? Does he need his hand held throughout all of this, right? Or is he still going to perform whether I'm speaking to him or not? I mean, that's what I would look for, right? I need a guy who's going to be selfless, one. I need a guy who's not going to have to just perform when I need him to perform or ask him to perform. Is he going to be able to do that regardless of the situation, regardless of what I ask him? And, you know, just can he be up to the task, you know? Can he self-correct? If he throws an out route and misses way out of bounds, is he going to continuously do that, or is he going to fix it? Right. You know, because once we get in game, man, and you're in the middle of a drive, you can't just say time out, hey, go to the sideline. What did I do wrong, coach? Help me fix this right here. No, you got to play. You got to work through those things right there. So being able to see all that up close in person, I think, is the reason that Coach Swinney and staff won't offer a kid in person, won't offer a kid until they see him in person, which I think is absolutely the right way to do it. You know, there's a lot of kids that look like superstars on film, but the guys they're playing against is 5'5", 120. You know, what are we doing, bro? So, and then you got that other thing that you can't measure, man. Like, one of the favorite books I read is called Grit by Angela Duckworth, right? And I'm not going to get too much into the philosophical standpoint of it, but this is it. Pretty much, she does a study on West Point Military Academy. And they have all of these different measurements or things that they want to abide by to make sure that they get the perfect qualification, perfect participants for this program. And so they get the most athletic, the state champions in wrestling or football or track. And those kids got 4.3 GPAs and everything, but those kids still don't seem to finish at the level that they want them to. And they're like, what is that? And the kids that they count out are the guys that do. And so they realize that it's that one thing that you can't measure, which is that grit. And so being able to see that when these guys, like, I can see a kid in drills and on one-on-one, he looks, not in one-on-ones, but in drills, and, you know, it's just him, and everything looks beautiful, you know. Look at the way he comes out of his break, you know, he's catching everything with one hand, and, you know, quarterback, man, you know, no DBs out there, and he's hitting everything on stride and perfect, which is why I hate pro days. Right. But there's that one thing, like, all right, when you got that man in front of you, who's got that dog in him, do you have that? Can you match fire with fire?
Coach Brownell would love to hear what you're talking about, the Clemson grit.
Yeah, it's a real thing, man. Because, you know, when ball's on the line, man, like, I need you to beat that guy in front of you. I need you to win. So seeing somebody's competitive nature, man, like, that's why you love to see best on best, right? I mean, whenever you can. And so seeing guys who, there's 15 receivers in line, and the guy got jammed out to the rafters, and he's like, you know what, I'm not going to wait another 15. I'm just going to go ahead and skip this guy and see what he has to say about it. You know, I saw that firsthand with Mackenzie Alexander, was another story in itself.
He could talk.
It was something else, but it's just, in person seeing guys. And that was one of the things with Arch that was really impressive. Because there's always going to be these misconceptions or, like I saw, Max Kellerman talking about, all the pressure that he has to deal with. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys are creating that. He's just a sophomore in high school, right? He still has 2 more years. He's just a kid. So let him be a kid, man. Let him compete,
But he looked like he was accepting coaching
right.
which is one of the things that kind of jumped out to us. Guy coming
Huge.
in, obviously he's got great guys he could go to for coaching, but he's sitting there with the Clemson staff and he's paying attention and seemed to be absorbing that coaching. My
biggest takeaway right there was that. Simply because, you're talking about a guy who does have the pedigree that he does. You're talking, nobody has that. I can't think of another player who does.
No.
You look at Brad Johnson's son, but it's just one of them, right? And Brad ain't Peyton or Eli, right? So, or Archie, right? So it's like, all right. And then you got Cooper, who was looking like Matthew McConaughey out there, who has and that's the thing. It's like, if there's anything, I wanted to see where his ego was, wasn't intact. Can he take criticism? Can he take coaching? Because at the end of the day, I'm sure that there's people that have been in his life that have coached him who've been reluctant to say anything to him because they figure that they don't know as much as he might know. And that's what was so interesting, as well as his physical makeup was out there. I would love to see what his cerebral state is, right? How he breaks down film, how he analyzes the game, because I'm sure it's at another level. But are you still willing to sit in there and accept feedback for what it is? And he was able to do that, man.
As a quarterback, watching Brandon Streeter out there now, obviously you didn't have a Brandon Streeter as just a quarterback coach and not a coordinator. When you were rolling through, what do you see from Brandon, and what do you think about how he's done working with the Trevors and these guys and getting them to that next level?
Brandon's one of my favorite people, man. One of my favorite coaches. I think so many times just because, you got guys who feel like they have to coach everything, comment on everything. And sometimes it just gets monotonous, man. You're like, there's sometimes there's nothing to be said. Even if a guy throws a bad ball, hey, it was just a bad ball. I can't coach that up. It wasn't what it was. He missed. He has to complete it next time. So seeing him, one of the things I love about Street is he analyzes everything before he actually takes action on it. It's one of the things I learned growing up as a kid. The first time, I would never say anything without me, one, being able to put in the work first, or two, recognizing and observing what was happening before I spoke. And so he does that same thing and takes that same philosophy with his coaching. And I think that's what makes him special, man. And the fact, again, that he's willing to coach up everybody. Again, you got guys out there, and there were some guys that were there that Clemson won't offer at all. He still coached them the same way that he coached the guys that they really want. And so it tells me all I need to know about him as a man, as a father, as a coach. And if I had to bring a kid in, that's the guy I want my kids playing for.
All right, let's hit some kind of topics of today's college football landscape.
The landscape.
Transfer portal.
I hate it personally. But
what are your thoughts on that? As from a player, and just what do you think it's going to do to the game?
I think it depends. It depends on what situation you're in, position. Now, one of the things it does is take away from the high school game, right? But it is a necessity to a degree for certain universities. Like South Florida, they got to have transfer portal, right? What you're sacrificing there potentially, though, is culture, right? Cultivation. Simply because you got guys who came from where they came from. It's like trying to change a quarterback's mechanics after a while. They didn't come in as freshmen, so they don't necessarily recognize or identify with anything that you have. So within that, there's going to be some hiccups and some misgivings within that you're just going to have to accept for what it is. And you're not going to be able to change that in a 2-year span. So you don't take the kid at all, you take all of them and whatever that brings and whatever that entails. And if you do that, the blame's on yourself. You know what I'm saying? But you got to have the experience, at certain positions. At Mike linebacker, at safety, at quarterback, or you got a guy that's coming in who's 17 years old and will look like me against Auburn, and I'm about to pee down my damn pants about to get in the game, Depends on what you want out of it, Right. Now you can grow with that and understand that there's going to be growing pains, but realistically, a lot of these universities are we have to win now situations or I'm fired. And so if you're in that position, I'm going to the transfer portal every day of the week and I'm going to get guys, Now on the other side of it, I just don't see, I know Pyramid's the transfer portal director.
Yep. Is he gonna have a busy job? Or is
I
he
don't,
gonna
yeah. I think he's just gonna be kicking it for a little
Right.
while, man. You know, I mean, he's gonna contribute in other ways, but man, like I cannot see Swinney, even though he probably should. I mean,
There's a big debate about whether he should or not.
we kind of need some guys out of the portal,
Right.
but I don't think that he will. You know,
Yep.
Clemson, they need like 3 or 4 guys out of the portal, realistically, but he's not gonna do
He's
it.
not gonna do that.
No.
He wants to develop. All right, let's hit another topic that's hot this week: playoffs.
Yeah.
Obviously, Dabo and Saban have both been very vocal. They like it
Yeah,
where it is now. Heck, they both said they
Sure.
were fine with BCS.
yeah. I love BCS.
Now they're talking about 12 teams. What do
Yeah.
you feel about that, and what does that do to the regular season?
So, the regular season, like, I mean, to be fair, there could probably be 2 or 3 games eliminated from each team's schedule anyways. Now, it dampers and some of the other universities that play and gain opportunity for capital and everything else of that nature. But, for me, the way I look at it, we know this for sure, almost for certain. There's 3 teams that's always going to be in the playoffs. It's Clemson, Bama, Ohio State. The 4th one is a round robin, right? Whoever, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, whatever that means. Oregon, whatever.
And usually the 4th team doesn't do anything.
Yeah. But if you follow that trend, then you also know why those same teams are in there. No kid in high school wants to go play for somebody that don't have an opportunity to win a championship. That's 1. 2, since they are playing extended seasons, getting opportunities for playoffs, getting opportunities for national championships, the opportunity, the likelihood for you to get drafted out of that situation grows higher too. It's greater. When you open up this though, right, to 12 teams, now it diversifies the recruiting a little bit because now other teams can legitimately say, hey, we're going to have an opportunity for postseason play.
Right.
And so I think it spreads a little bit because nobody else could really say that. And if they did, then they were lying,
Right.
And it just was what it was. And so I don't know, it changes
It's
everything.
good and bad.
Yeah, it's a good and bad thing. I mean, I don't think there's 12 teams good enough out there at any given year. But I guess it'll be fun to see. The difference is like this ain't basketball. Like basketball, like legitimately, if you play, there's one guy who can legitimately take over the game.
Right.
Bro, like football is just our guys are better than your
sport.
guys. Yeah, it's just like I got to win those individual matchups, but like. I don't give a damn what UConn does, right? They can play the best game. It's not going to be good enough.
Right.
I get it. You can lose. You got to play every game. You can lose every game. It's not a reality anymore. I mean, you would have to legitimately turn the ball over 12 times to lose to certain teams. You feel me? And so, like, once you get outside that top 10, it's still the same thing. Like, unless you get in one of those situations where it's like that odd year with NC State or Pittsburgh or something like that, and that's just the name of the game. But like consistently, like it's just not enough teams to be able to play at the caliber because they're backloaded. Clemson's 4 or 5 years better than everybody. Bama's 4 or 5 years from everybody. So we might not even see an instant impact right now, but at some point, if they continue with this, it shifts, and it opens everything up. Yeah.
All right, last question for you. And
Yep.
we're going to get you back in the studio because we probably have 100 questions. I know Will's got 50 more and all that stuff. So this is going to be favorite memory looking back at your time at Clemson. What's your favorite memory?
Man, to be honest, man, that the season opener for this year, like my senior year, 2013 against Georgia, man, 38-35. I mean, I was, some of the kids I told you that were in town from Virginia, like I ran into a dude today at the gym, man. I just, I left the gym, got some meatloaf, so I ruined the whole workout, you feel me? But ruined it, whatever. I didn't have a PBR, but, yeah. And, they threw some mashed potatoes and a biscuit, and I was like, shit, man. The only thing worse would have been Texas toast, and I would have ate that for sure. But I'm sitting there, man, and I'm talking to this guy that's at the gym, and he's like staring at me, and I'm like, whatever. And I get the stares.
Right.
Hands me back my card, and he was like, are you like that, Taj? I'm like, yeah,
How many times is yours?
And he was like, you know, I went to high school with Gift Timothy. And I was like, you're from Delaware? He was like, yeah. You know, I was like, it's random. He was like, bro, like I met you when I was in 6th grade. I'm looking at him, he's a grown-ass man right here, you know? Beard, tattoos on his neck. And I'm like, if he was in 6th grade when I was playing, how old am I right now, you know? But man, you know, like that's how it feels. Like they had that elite ACC game, the NC State, and they put it on YouTube, I guess, 2 days ago. ACC Network did. And I'm just like, bro, it just moves so fast. But that Georgia game, man, is just forever locked in there. Because, you know, like you look at the video, you know, got Brett Musburger talking about even the dogs have to take a look kind of deal. But I can just remember that bus ride, you know, dropping those chips into the bucket. And I can't remember if I was actually on the bus or if I was at half field. I think I was at the half field. I think I was the captain for that game. Maybe I wasn't. But either way, I'm looking at it and I'm just imagining and kind of reliving that experience. You know, each guy getting on that bus individually, single file line. And, you know, it's dead silent, you know. And so you come around that bend, you got people beating on the bus. And then it's silent for a minute, right? Nobody. And then you come around that last little stretch before you get to the rock, and everything changes. They open up those floodgates, and it's like gladiators walking into the arena, and I'm just like, damn. In that time and in that game, you know, at 8 o'clock or whatever it was, in front of the whole world, I mean, it just don't get much better than that. And those kids will have that opportunity for that experience this year. So I'm excited for them, man.
You got me ready to go. Let's go. All right, we want to thank our Clemson legend, Tajh Boyd. We'll get him back in the studio, share some more stuff for you. Stay tuned to the Clemson Insider for the most complete coverage of Clemson football and recruiting.